How can science help preserve organisms in an environment that has been impacted by human activity?
We have completed research on the organism that we believe is one of the most vital organisms in the immediate school area's ecosystem.
The brown garden snail. It is important to the environment as a decomposer. The snail breaks down a large amount of dead leaves and organisms that would otherwise be left on the ground to rot.
Without snails, the forest floor and areas around it would be littered with decomposing animals and plants.
Snails have some of the most unique anatomy of any land or sea organisms. Their shells, one of the most vital parts of their bodies, are shaped in a spiral form because of the way they grow. The shells, which are made up of calcium carbonate, are used for protection against what seems like a harsh environment, but they often prove to be ineffective against predators. Snails have a gland in their foot that produces mucus. This mucus reduces friction as they move, allowing them to scale any surface. The foot of the snail also has muscles that expand and contract, and the muscles allow them to move forward. The brown garden snail also has two sets of tentacles, the long top tentacles and the lower bottom tentacles. The top tentacles have eyes at the top of them, and the bottom tentacles carry the scent glands. The mouth of the snail is found at the bottom of the head beside the lower tentacles. This snail only has one lung and it breathes from a cavity. One of the other main components of the snail's anatomy is the mantle. The mantle is a layer that covers the foot and some internal organs protectively.
The brown garden snail reproduces asexually, laying approximately 80 eggs per time it reproduces. Its thinking process is very complex, using associative thinking based on previous experiences. The blood vessel structure is similar to that of a human, which is what allows them to breathe as people do. The foot on the bottom of their body allows them to move forward with the use of mucus. The mucus creates friction that allows them to move and stick to surfaces. Without the use of mucus, the environment would be too difficult to move across without obtaining injuries. What appears to be snail spasming is actually the snail's foot muscle working. While they move slowly, the foot moves to a rhythm that it will follow repeatedly.
The brown garden snail's diet is all calcium. This snail is mainly active during the night and in the early mornings before the sun comes out, but can also be active on cloudy or rainy days. The average snail speed is 1.3 centimeters per second. They use their mucus to get friction to climb in every direction to have a slippery, smooth pass. The mature brown garden snail can hibernate during colder days by covering theirself in mucus. Like any other organism, snails face the challenges of survival due to the impact that humans have on their environment. Snails are often killed when land is cleared for construction, but the brown garden snail also faces another large problem. The major conflict to this type of snail is snail salt or poison. Humans will place salt onto plants to try and get snails to stop eating them. Snails either die from the salt, sucking out all the water from their bodies, or they will die from starvation since their habitat is poisoned.
Because the garden snail is a decomposer, there are not many people concerned with protecting it. Many gardeners and planters find snails to be obnoxious and infectious, but that is part of the reason that they are so important to the environment. They decompose old and decaying plants and forage differently depending on where they live. However, since there is a large population and not many specific predators, scientists are not taking actions to preserve the species.
Snails are considered a pest that eats garden plants. To prevent the snails from eating your plants, gardeners usually set traps to kill the snails. We can help preserve snails by not killing the snails just to keep them away from our gardens. One cheap and easy way to get rid of snails, but not kill snails, is to lay out eggshells around your garden. Snails prefer a smooth surface and do not like the way the eggshells feel in their bodies. Killing snails is not the only way to get them out of your garden.
In conclusion, snails impact the way our environment is structured greatly.
Steps should be taken to ensure that the species is protected because of their influence in the ecosystem.
Stop trying to kill us, guys. It hurts. So drop.